right, welcome to VMware Explore 2024 Day 2. John, it has been, the week is going by so fast.
It is, and I've been having a lot of conversations, not just, with the official sessions, but, over the breakfast table, and people are like, it's great you have this new in-state y'all are talking about, but one conversation come up is like, what about my existing environment? What should we do? That's been like a reoccurring trend of like, I am here, how do I get there?
Right. Customers that are familiar with VMware Cloud Foundation and have seen the process previously with migrations and figuring out how to actually get their environments to actually work. We're pretty excited about some of the updates. Big one came out, VCF Import came out recently, and one of our good friends, our brother from another mother, Mr. Glenn Sizemore, is here to talk about it. Glenn, welcome back.
Hey, Pete and John, how you guys doing? Good to be back.
Yeah, for the historians of Virtually Speaking, Glenn and I used to podcast at NetApp for many years.
Many years, yes.
Yeah. And then he's always been on here. We're so glad to have you back, Glenn. So VCF Import, what's the story? What's the update, and then and why does it matter?
Yeah, so VCF Import is a new feature that was introduced in the 5.2 release that enables us to be able to take existing vSphere environments and bring them into VCF without having to go through a traditional data center migration, right? So it's an in-place conversion, right, and or import into an existing SDDC manager. And it really does change the game as far as accelerating that path into VCF for existing vSphere customers.
Okay. I think I heard someone previously mention it as brownfield import, not the word to use, correct?
Yeah, so the internal code name when we were developing this was brownfield, but when we got done building the feature and it was time to communicate it to the rest of the world, we decided that's not exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Right? VCF Import is a much more appropriate term and explains what the technology is, because we are importing existing vSphere environments into VCF.
Okay.
Now, how much change goes through with that import? Because historically, VCF, because it was a greenfield initial deployment and how it was structured, it kind of, you could operate on some imperative basis, and because you knew the state from the beginning, you initially did the deployment. What is different? This is like, I know at an engineering level, this is a much harder problem. There's a reason why this is delayed. Like, what's going on? What do I have to mediate or change, or what do I have to scope, I guess, when I do that?
Okay, so to take a step back, the VCF Import Toolkit contains two core functionalities. There's one that's called Convert, that will convert an existing vSphere cluster into a VCF management domain.
Oh, okay. So this isn't just workload domains. This can do the original management domain.
Yes. And then there's Import, which imports an existing vSphere, vCenter rather, as a VCF VI workload domain. Now, when you do an import, there is no modification to the source environment at all. What happens is the import toolkit will connect to the destination virtual center server. It will discover all the inventory, the port groups, the hosts, all of that jazz.
So all I'm putting is just the vCenter and the credentials and pointing it at that.
That's right. And it will discover your environment and then use that to populate the SDDC Manager database so that it now understands what your cluster is.
So this is interesting because there's certain things that are not supported today in VCF from a day zero that are not supported workload domains. For instance, like I was talking to someone there, I've got another data center that's on the other side of the US, and I want to add it to the same SDDC manager. That vCenter is at a greater distance than that. Will this work around some of those limitations, or will it maintain the same limitations?
So at its heart, the limitations around how far away remote sites can be haven't changed. We still need 10 megabits per second and less than 100 milliseconds of round trip.
Okay, 100
latency.
millisecond though, that's across the US, and 10 meg's not hard to find.
No,
so.
it's not onerous by any means.
It was more the NSX, I think, was really where those limitations came in.
That's the big difference, right? So there are some gotchas, there's some conditions. VCF Import is very much a 1.0 release. This is the first time we've released this technology. We're going to continue to iterate on this.
But if I had a vCenter that was managing 50 branch sites across the state that didn't have NSX deployed, it would be able to import that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this came out in VCF 5.2, correct?
That is right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you're here this week talking to customers. What have people been saying?
Well, the right now there's a lot of people questioning, like, does this thing actually work? Right? Can I actually just go take my current vSphere environment and pull it into VCF? Is it actually going to is everything magically going to work? And we got to be honest with them. The answer is we're not entirely sure. It depends on how you built your cluster. Because VCF by design is working off a standardized architecture. So we know exactly how the clusters are built, we know exactly how the hosts are configured, and because of that, we can guarantee that your outcome is going to be successful.
We know that, like, for instance, NTP was properly set up and time isn't drifting randomly on hosts. And
Yeah,
there's all kinds of common mistakes that VCF prevents from day zero that you may be blockers on you importing.
Exactly. And what can happen is if you import an environment that wasn't built against those best practices, if the cluster doesn't match what VCF is looking for in a golden standard template of what a cluster looks like, then some operations or functions won't work. But it's edge cases. For the most part, as long as your environment supports the current capabilities of VCF import, which there are some pretty significant limitations, right?
Yeah.
You can't have NSX, no LACP, no vVols, no shared VDS switches across clusters, no standard switches, no standalone hosts.
Okay.
Right? There's a number of conditions.
But those
where
are things
it
that
doesn't
mostly,
work.
a lot of customers may be looking to move away from anyways, and it's time to do a little bit of remediation on the way in.
Exactly, yeah. And the key point here is if you're an existing customer who's running vSphere 7.0 Update 3 or newer, right, and you're just looking to get a better handle on lifecycle management, certificate management, password management.
Yeah, I saw the new password management discussions on prescriptive policies and things.
Yeah.
It's some cool stuff.
It's real cool stuff. And VCF Import is the easy button to getting those functionalities lit up in your existing vSphere environments without having to go through an expensive data center migration.
Yeah.
So no migrations.
No migrations with Import. Now, you still may want to do a migration, to be honest. It just depends because, like I said, if you build the environment with VCF, we can guarantee the outcome because we know what we're building. If you built it and we import it, there's just that element of the unknown. We don't know that you built it correctly, and there might be some problems there. But most of our customers know what they're doing. They've been building these things for a very long time, and it's perfectly safe. And so far, with the adoption that we've had, nothing but success.
I like it.
And I'm thinking maybe you can harvest some of the operational time savings from importing and having it take over life cycle to use that to begin building out some new workload domains from scratch and do the migration. It should get you enough time back to help with that process going forward.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, even if all you do is lifecycle management, that's it. That's the only thing you take advantage of in VCF. The hours upon hours saved with that one task alone will pay back the 15 to 20 minutes it takes for you to import the environment into a VCF management domain.
So let's talk about also that other option you talked about on setting up the management cluster off of an existing cluster. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so convert is interesting. What happens there is it's a bit of a manual process. You have to manually deploy STDC Manager, install the VCF Import Toolkit into STDC Manager, stage your NSXT bundle, but then you can use those tools to convert an existing vSphere 8.0 Update 3 cluster into a VCF management domain. And here's the interesting part, John. You can do it without NSX or vSAN.
Yeah. So what are my options on external storage there? I can, if I've got an existing array, I've still got one more year left on it. I'm doing hardware refreshing here, but I want to get VCF up today. I can use my existing NFS or fiber channel array, or what
That's
are my
right.
options?
Yeah,
there?
your options are NFS v3 explicitly or VMFS over fiber channel.
Okay.
So no support for iSCSI, no vVols at this point in time. But nevertheless, right, if you're one of those customers with just a data center full of fiber channel storage, right, and the reason you haven't adopted VCF up until this point is the strict requirement of vSAN in
You've
the
got
management
blades,
domain.
and you're not there yet. You haven't.
Yeah.
You're another 18 months out on a hardware refresh. You can go get started on your VCF journey.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's really what this is. It's a way to get started faster.
Nice. Any plans for fiber channel over token ring?
That's a flash from the past.
Yeah. Half the audience will be like, what? Absolutely. So, Glenn, you've been here all week. Are you presenting? Are you talking about anything in the world of VMware Cloud Foundation this week?
Oh, yeah. Nothing but VCF this week. Yeah. We're talking about how to build a private cloud with VMware Cloud Foundation. We're talking about migrating to VMware Cloud Foundation using VCF Import. looking at the new features in VCF 5.2, and then of course all the roundtables and booth duties and customer conversations, the reason we're here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, where can we go to learn more? I know there's the basic VMware.com. Is there any other information we can share with folks so they can get up to date on VCF Import?
The best place, honestly, is the docs.
Okay.
Right? And again, this is the beauty of the simplification that Broadcom has brought to our product and portfolio. Previously, this was a pretty complicated question. We'd probably point you at TechZone, where we'd have a custom landing page to try to demystify it.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
Just Google for VCF Import. It's the only thing that comes up.
I love it. I love it. Well, Glenn, short and sweet, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your week here at Explore.
Yeah, great to see you guys again.